Hi guys, it's SkintBoot here, and today what I'm going to be bringing you guys is a No Man's Sky video. And in today's video, what I'm going to be bringing you is something very different. This is a very kind of spur on the moment sort of video, which I thought would be quite interesting to produce. And essentially what I'm going to be doing today is just talking about No Man's Sky, whether that be the game itself or updates or Waking Titan, anything like that, but minus the editing. Usually I spend a pretty long amount of time on audio editing, taking out mistakes, taking out pauses and little things like that. So I thought, why not make a video with basically no auditory editing, just to show you what a raw bit of footage would be like. So I have absolutely no script right now. This is probably going to be the worst video you'll ever see from me, and none of this will be edited. The only thing that will be done will be adding my audio effects on Vegas so my mic doesn't sound all tinny and shitty. But other than that, this is going to be quite interesting. I hope this kind of, I don't know, makes you happy or makes you realise something. And you see what I mean? Like, it's already getting a bit weird, but yeah, regardless, I hope you enjoy, and let's get started with the video. So, No Man's Sky is a game which was released in 2016 by a small indie game studio developer called Hello Games. Now, Hello Games are based in Guildford, which is not actually too far from me. One day I might go and visit them. I think that might be quite interesting. But they produced No Man's Sky, released it in August of 2016, and had a pretty infamous launch, mainly due to the fact that a good proportion of features which were promised in pre-release talks with Sean Murray, things like that, were actually absent from the game. Essentially, the game which we received and the game which we were sold were completely different. The game at its core was, of course, the same. You could explore planets, you could catalogue animals, but the quality and the extent of what was actually in the game was so much worse than what we were shown off pre-release. And that is why when No Man's Sky came out, a lot of people kind of jumped on the hate bandwagon a little bit. They sort of started to just chat shit about the game and really focus on the negatives and not the positives. Rarely any people were happy with No Man's Sky when it released. Some people were content with it, like myself, because they never really got excited by the game pre-release. But for a lot of people that followed it since it was first released, got really invested in it, spent too much money on the big fat collector's edition, were just left feeling ultimately quite disappointed and let down, which is quite justified, to be honest. So if I actually talk a little bit about my thoughts on No Man's Sky, how it can be improved, things like that, then hopefully it'll give you, a better idea of what I think about the game and just stuff. So you see what I mean? This is fucking difficult without editing. Right, so No Man's Sky, one of the biggest things which I like about it initially is the fact that it is extremely relaxing. It's a laid-back, casual game, and also in its genre of sci-fi games, specifically like space combat and planetary exploration, trading, things like that, it's definitely the most casual contender out of all of its competitors, i.e. Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous, two games which require you to basically devote your life to mastering. Especially with Elite Dangerous, I played it a few times back in the day and I didn't know what the shit I was doing. I'm pretty sure you actually have to learn how to land your ship, and not everyone wants that. Not everyone wants to kind of, you know, pull out a shit bucket, sort of just like devote a whole weekend to learning how to fly an imaginary pixel. Some people just want to hop in a spaceship. The game basically plays itself, or it's quite easy, and that is what No Man's Sky achieves, and that's why I like it. The game is incredibly relaxing, like very relaxing. And this is if you play on normal, or I think there's easy, I actually can't remember, but if you play on stuff like permadeath or survival, then the game feels much more difficult and a bit less casual. But playing the standard game mode, so basically pre 1.2 when difficulties came out, I actually don't remember. It was a very relaxed experience, and it still is a relaxed experience. So that is one of the biggest things which I like about No Man's Sky. Of course, I can go into other stuff like the developers themselves. I love Hello Games. I think as much as they did lie, and people do hate Sean Murray, at the end of the day, they have stuck by their errors. They are trying to amend it. They could have just fucked off with the money and forgotten about it, but no, they're updating it, actually giving the players an ARG to play with, you know, things like that. They care about their customers, and I think No Man's Sky and the whole story of it failing wasn't just down to the fact that Hello Games were just, I don't know, wanting money, they wanted sales. I think it's a very complicated matter, most of which comes down to delays, and especially Sony, because you have to remember that Hello Games are an indie company, and Sony was their publisher, and Sony pushed them a lot to release the game, and essentially, you know, due to like the floods in Guildford, things like that, and the fact that they'd already delayed it once, Sony were kind of breathing down their necks like, boy, you gotta release this shit. And so when they did, they just hadn't finished the game, basically. I think a lot of what they showed pre-release was in work footage, stuff that hadn't really been done yet. And I think that is why a lot of it was missing, because it was probably not functioning enough to have it in the game from the offset. But updates and stuff are bringing that back. And one other thing which I do want to touch on is the community. I love the community to bits. In fact, I think the community is probably one of the most impressive aspects about No Man's Sky, because even though a lot of people consider it to be dead, or a game which basically has no relevance, it sort of doesn't exist, people hate it, whatever, the community is so strong. And I think this is largely down to, the fact that it's quite small and quite tight. Everyone knows everyone. It's like a little Welsh village where even the slightest bit of drama everyone knows about, and this isn't a bad thing. You know, with content creators like Orbit, L Plays Cobra, Jared, Game Mode, Legacy Zero, whatever, you know, we're all kind of together in this. We're not competitors, we don't hate each other, we're like mates on the internet that actively try and help each other, and the community is just fantastic. I couldn't find a better community for a game. And I could go on about other stuff which I like, but instead I'm going to talk about what I don't like. I'll keep this short, but for the most part, I do find No Man's Sky to be quite repetitive, and this is just down to the grindy nature of the game, and updates have kind of removed this with the variation and things like that. But you have to be in such a precise mood to play No Man's Sky, because when you play it, you're in this one particular mindset where if you're even slightly kind of like out of touch with it, so you feel like, I don't know, killing or war or whatever, then No Man's Sky just won't satisfy you. You have to be in the most precise kind of, I just want to explore, relax, and I don't know, leave my mark, then yeah, it's perfect. But any other time, I just don't ever really find myself playing it outside of recording. I have to be really, really in the mood, and the majority of the time I'm quite stressed, and No Man's Sky isn't really a good stress reliever, at least for me. I kind of prefer the more cathartic games like Killing Floor, where you can, you know, fuck stuff up. But I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I am just saying that the nature of the game is so specific that you don't always want to play it, and it is repetitive as well, something which Hello Games are working on fixing, but again, it's not quite there yet. It may take a bit longer, but other than that, I really don't have any other complaints with the game. It's flawless, at least in my eyes. But I do have a problem with the price. I think the price is a bit of a piss take. Charging basically like a AAA title game price, so the same price you'd pay for like Battlefield or COD or, I don't know, fucking Doom, something like that, for an indie game that isn't on the same polish or even the same quality as one of these AAA games, I think is just a bit scummy. At least in my opinion, I think that Hello Games should lower the price, and I think that would actually satisfy a lot of people. I think people still complain about the fact that it's too expensive for what it is, and I don't know why they haven't lowered the price. I don't know if this is a conscientious decision in order to get more money in order to invest back into the game, or if they have some weird, you know, agreement with Sony where it has to sell for a specific price. I don't know, but if Hello Games had the final word with it, I think they should definitely look into the price, because at least for me, I think it's one of the big things that are holding the game back. If it launched as it did now, as in post 1.3, at the price of an indie game, so I don't know, like 15 quid, I think people would have been alright with it. You know, less, you know, of course not perfect, because it's still not the game we were sold, but a load better than the basically, you know, bare bones ass tech demo, which we got all the way back in, all the way back in August of 2016. So that's basically all I have to say on the matter. Thank you for watching this video. It is really fucking different, but hopefully this makes you realise how much kind of time and effort goes into editing. This would be like a video that I would have made back in like 2013 or something, before I knew how to use Vegas or whatever. So this is completely intentional, and it's a bit of a off video. Once Waking Titan starts again and there's actually news, I'm obviously going to cover that, but for the meantime, I'm just experimenting with some different videos. But yeah, thank you for watching this different video. If you did enjoy, then please do feel free to leave a like on it, and if you guys could also subscribe to MZK, then that'd be absolutely fantastic. And as always, I will see you guys on my next video. This is SkintBoot, signing out.